Well, at least one American is dead and another is injured after a shootout off the coast of Cuba. Cuban officials claiming that a group of people entered their waters on a boat and opened fire, prompting Cuban troops to respond. Well, Cuba also alleging that the boat was loaded with weapons and gear, stuff like guns, Molotov cocktails, and bulletproof vests. They say 6 survivors are in custody now, along with another alleged accomplice. That's what Cuba says. But the U.S. is also conducting its own investigation. And that leads us to our next guest, who says the Cuban government can't be trusted and adds he will do everything in his power to hold these communists accountable. Joining me now is the Attorney General of Florida, James Uthmeier. James, good to see you again. Let me just start with, you're saying you're looking for accountability. So in broad terms, what does accountability look like to you within your investigation?
Sure. Well, ultimately, we want to know exactly what happened here. A lot of the information coming out and circulating is coming from the communist regime. We're obviously not going to solely rely on them. As Secretary Rubio has stated, a firefight like this in the water is a pretty unusual thing. We don't see this every day. So we're going to conduct our own investigation. We're going to support the federal government first. They're taking the lead on diplomatic discussions with Cuba. But the state of Florida has its own authorities. For decades, we've had law in the books where my office will prosecute any crimes to vessels or passengers coming out of the state. So we'll let the feds take the lead, but we're going to do our own investigation. And if indeed there are any crimes to Floridians, Florida residents, or vessels, we will pursue charges.
So then who could you possibly charge with a crime here, James?
Well, it's hard to speculate this far out without having a completed investigation. We're not going to rely on everything Cuba's saying, but if our citizens were fired upon, boarded a Florida vessel, then those that are firing upon them could ultimately be charged with a crime. Again, it's too early. We don't know a lot of information, so I'm not going to begin to speculate. But at the end of the day, we've got a strong Cuban population here in Florida, a lot of people with family members over there, a lot of people with strong feelings of opposition to the communist regime. So people want answers, and we're going to help find them.
So you make it clear, and so have members of the administration, that Cuba can't be trusted, especially with whatever information they're putting out there. So a couple questions for you. What's the sense that you're getting from Cubans there in your state that you know? Does this look like a situation where it was, a paid boat to go get family members out of Cuba? Do you think that there was something more nefarious? Cuba believes that they were, terrorists coming in to commit some type of mayhem. What is your understanding, or at least your thoughts, about what exactly this boat was doing?
Well, we do not know. We can't confirm details on the passengers beyond confirming that there were indeed multiple American citizens on the boat. It was a boat registered to a Florida resident. The Cuban community here, they certainly are suspicious. They don't trust the communist regime. And attacks on Florida vessels and citizens are, coming from Cuba. There's nothing new there. Earlier this week, we remembered the 30-year anniversary of 2 Florida planes, Brothers to the Rescue planes, that were shot down by the Cuban government, killing multiple Florida residents. So at the end of the day, we're going to investigate, and if there was wrongdoing, if there were any crimes committed to Floridians, we will pursue charges.
So there are reports out there that the boat was stolen. Is that what you're hearing as well? Can you confirm that?
I can't confirm that at this time, no.
Okay. Do you believe that more than one American was killed?
I can confirm that at least one American was killed. We know that another American is injured. There were multiple Americans on the boat.
Got it. Now, sources are also telling me that the shootout took place about 1 nautical mile from the Cuban border, which means that, Cubans have the right to fire on whatever they see as a threat in their eyes. So how will this impact your investigation? How far can you go?
Well, as long as it's a Florida vessel, we're going to go as far as we can. Again, I'm not going to step out of my lane and get into the international diplomatic discussion. I'll let Secretary Rubio take charge there. And obviously, he cares very much about this topic. He has a personal vested interest. He and the entire Trump administration have done an excellent job really showing the world a masterclass education on diplomacy and national security in the Western Hemisphere. So they've got our support. Everything they need from us will be there. And then we'll look at, the criminal records and state charges that, could come later on.
Got it. And just to be clear, I know you're doing your own independent investigation here, but the Coast Guard Investigative Service, in addition to DHS Miami, is also doing its own investigation. So will all three entities here work together? Will that other investigation impact your investigation, vice versa? How do you see that working out?
Sure. Well, I anticipate we'll get a lot of information and facts from the federal government's investigation that will help us put this picture together and see if there's anything for the state of Florida to do in our legal system. Here in Florida, we got a great working relationship with the federal government. You don't see anarchy and chaos and people fighting amongst each other. We have a shared mission that's to protect Americans and American families.
Attorney General for the state of Florida, James Uthmeier. Always appreciate your time, James. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.